Hey y'all, welcome back to another review of Life of Chester. This will Beyond the Gates, June 9th, 2025. Okay, y'all, so first things first, let me know your thoughts on today's new episode down below. I said, oh, okay. Okay, I see what Kat did there. But I got a question, though. I got a question. Well, she did have on gloves, because I was about to ask y'all. I was like, is there any way that they can deny um that they had the evidence? Well, not they, but Leslie. Because Kat done took she took the. I thought she was gonna turn it in. I thought she was gonna turn it in, but she ain't turning it in. She went put it back in her house. I guess because they have to make the connection or whatever. But yeah, okay. So on today's episode, we're gonna start with Tomas and Caroline. So they was just at the office, and Caroline ends up telling Tomas that Bill ended up collapsing or whatever. Then she ends up telling him that Leslie had reached out for some reason. So they end up meeting up. And this lady, I said, okay, what she want? She was saying how the Duprees have a fixer, and that's Bill, so she want to fix her too. And I was like, wouldn't that be a conflict of interest? But then she got to it where she wanted him to help her get a what did she call it? Basically a restraining order. That's what it sounded like. But she called it something else. She called it something else. And I was like, why would she think that he would actually help her? Then she kept on name dropping Eva and how Eva used to talk about him and stuff like that, and how she told her to not focus on you, but now she's starting to see the image or whatever. She's starting to see the picture. I said, this lady is crazy. I said one thing about it though, she playing that part. She definitely playing that part. But yeah, like I said, Caroline ends up telling Tomas that Bill collapsed. Jacob and Naomi was on the phone. Chelsea was in the background, and he was just checking on her or whatever, and saying how I think he said something about he couldn't make it or whatever. But she was like she was there with Chelsea and Haley. Bill was struggling. The lady, what's her name? Dr. Montgomery. She was struggling. She told him to hold up his arms, and he was struggling or whatever. He was struggling to keep his arms balanced. What else? Let me see. Bill, Haley, Madison, Ashley. So that's the scene where they was asking him to hold up his arms and he was struggling and everything. I think they said it's gonna take him what they said. I think I wrote it down. Hold on, let me see. They said it was gonna take him 6 to 8 months to recover or whatever. I wanna look, I can't tell y'all. I'm trying to figure out if Haley genuinely care or not. I don't know yet. I really don't know. But yeah, what else happened? I should just go down the list reading what happened. Bill was struggling to keep his hands up. Derek ends up asking Andre about Leslie, and that's when he was revealed that she was questioning Ashley and stuff like that. And I think he was saying something about how Ashley has a kind heart, so she's gonna eventually give in. Derek and Andre, like I said, they was talking about Leslie. He ends up revealing that she was cornering Ashley, asking all type of questions and stuff. Even Nicole, Nicole stops by Eva's hotel because she wanted to know why she met up with Laura. She ends up saying she had to help her with the system. So Nicole was just suspicious. She was asking, they had a nice little conversation or whatever. And Eva was assuring her that she wasn't like her mama and all this other stuff, and she regrets what she did to the point that Nicole actually forgave her. She ends up telling her she forgives her. And I said, now I'm wondering, because at first I was like, okay, Kat gonna turn in the evidence, and then they're gonna think that Eva was involved because it was in her hotel room. But because Kat ain't no doggone cop or officer or whatever you want to call it, I said now it complicates things because even when Jacob finds the evidence, that don't prove that what you call had it unless she put her hands on it. Did she put her hands on it? Did did Eva put her hands up on the evidence, y'all? I can't remember if she did or not because I think Kat had on gloves. If I'm not mistaken, she had on black gloves. And I said, what if her fingerprints the only one that's on it? I said, that'd be real messed up. But yeah, what else happened? Let's see. Like I said, even Nicole had a nice little conversation. They talk about everything. Even said if Nicole asked her to choose between Leslie or Ted as a test, she would fail it. And she was just saying how she's all her mama has. And I said, yeah, that's gonna be, I don't want to say the death for you, but that's gonna be a problem. I said it. What was they calling it? Somebody I passed by a post. What did they call it? Lethal loyalty. If I'm not mistaken, that's what they call it. And that's exactly the perfect example right there. She was saying how she all her mama has, and she's hoping that maybe her goodness will rub off on her mama. I said, shoot. She's trying to run people off the road. She's trying to run people off the road and stuff. Then I told y'all, I said she making herself look suspicious because she running around asking everybody, she getting desperate or whatever. And Jacob said the same thing. He said the same thing. I said exactly. If you don't want nobody to know what you did, well, it's a little too late because Cat over here. Cat might as well just stop with the bags and be a detective at this point. But yeah, to finish up with Nicole and Eva, she was telling her how, she asked her to choose between Ted and Leslie as a test, she'll fail it or whatever. And then she was saying how she hopes Nicole and Ted can work things out. And she was saying how she believes that they belong together. She was just, like I said, they had a nice little conversation, but all that, I don't know. Once Kat reveals that she's the one, that's what I'm wondering though. When she reveals that she's the one that put the evidence, is that going to affect the case? Is that going to affect the case? And not only that, like how Kat don't know that how does she not know if what's her name Leslie don't have a camera or something to show that she's the one that placed it in there? But based on the promo, they did show Jacob meeting up with Kat saying that the helmet and the gloves was the exact match and everything. So we'll see. Because she had on gloves, I'm assuming she didn't put her fingerprints on it. But I'm wondering if Eva did. If she did, she screwed. But what else happened with Eva now? Let me see. Because it was something else, if I'm not mistaken. I already said that Nicole ends up accepting Eva's apology. I think at that point, that's when she left. If I'm not mistaken, she ended up leaving after that. Who else we got? Let's see. Kat and Leslie. So she done went to this lady house, and I was like, now why is she at this lady house? So she was like saying she wanted to call a truce and everything, trying to make it seem like she gonna drop everything. She ends up telling Leslie she'll stay in her lane if Leslie does the same. And Leslie knew she was up to something. She was like, stay where I can see you. But she still ain't pay no attention because the girl done walked all over here. She over here opening up windows and stuff. And I was like, so you didn't hear that? You didn't hear that? You didn't see her at the corner of your eye? But yeah, she don't open up the window, and I was like, "What's she trying to do?" And I was like, "Oh, they had to actually see the evidence in her place to make a connection. But if her fingerprints not on it, it's not gonna make a difference. It's not gonna make a difference. Then all she got to do is blame Eva, because I don't know. Did they show Eva touching the gloves and stuff? I don't know, y'all. Either way it go, Eva done messed up. She done messed up or whatever. She keep telling people how she's changed. She's not the same person. She's not her mother. All this other stuff. But you sit up there and cover for her. She even was talking to Leslie when she came, and she was like how she protected her, and she's like, you welcome and all this other stuff. And I said, yeah, she gonna be the problem, because she was willing to imply that she was the one who did it, knowing doggone well she did. I don't care. I feel like you applying that she did it when you know doggone well one, you did it, and then it's your daughter or whatever. That shows to me that you don't care. Meanwhile, she's still over here trying to protect you or whatever. And she gonna regret it. She definitely is. Who else we got? Let's see. Like I said, Kat came there like she wanted to make peace. Leslie ended up getting a call from her mom, so they agreed to meet at Orphy Jeans, whoever. I think it's Orphy Jeans. I mess up the name every review, don't I? But yeah, so then she was like, nobody gave you permission to, move around and all this other stuff. I was like, she already done did it now. She don't sit up here, open the doggone window. You missed it. You missed it. But yeah, what else? Let's see. Haley, Chelsea, Naomi, and Danny. I think that was the scene when Naomi and Chelsea went in there to be in the room when Bill got back, and Haley just ran into Naomi's arms and she was crying and just saying like, what is they gonna do? If something happens to Bill. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know if she's genuine. I don't know. That's just gonna have to be something that we wait and see. And I think at that point, Naomi and her was hugging. Chelsea was standing up there, and Danny, she was about to come in, but she seen it, so she went and she said, I said, exactly, sit your tail right there in the waiting room, right there in the waiting room. Well, they had a nice little scene, but Haley, no. Haley could tell, and she was jealous. She kept looking and stuff every time they shared a little moment and stuff. I was like, Bill, what did he say? What did Bill say? I was like, Bill don't care, do he? But yeah, I was like, Bill, don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. But yeah, Haley was watching them, then she grabbed his hand and stuff like that. I was like, girl. And Ashley, when she was talking to Andre, she said something about how, I guess she was talking about Bill and Haley and Danny now, because she was talking about love and how they was once together and that doesn't just go away. And Andre was just looking all sad and stuff like that. But I was like, okay, was that because he trying with Danny or because he feel that way about Ashley? But yeah, what else? Let's see. Jacob and Derek ends up going to see Jacob, and that's when he reveals to him about Ashley and Leslie. So they end up getting word, or he ends up getting word that she was at Orphe Jeans. So they went there and they was acting like they was just sitting there meeting up to eat and stuff. And Leslie was there already with Tomas. But I think Tomas had just left. He was just walking out when they was walking in. By that time, Kat came in there and she was like, she was trying to tell Jacob something. I was like, you about to talk too much. Then she looks over there and she sees Leslie. So Leslie got up out of there. She got up out of there. She got up out of there and went straight to the hotel where Eva at. But yeah, Jacob ends up thanking Derek. He ends up leaving, and that's when Jacob and Kat end up talking. And she was like, I was thinking, maybe Leslie, she ended up implying that Leslie may have moved the evidence because she knew the day was gonna come, and then she moved it back. And he was like, you might be right or whatever. So he got to try to get a warrant or something to go back in there. And I was like, what if she find it by then? But based on the promo, they definitely gonna find it. But I was like, I can't remember if Eva put her fingerprints on it, because I know Leslie, as far as we know, she had gloves on. But then again, I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, she desperate to get the evidence back. Might as well finish with her. So Eva and Leslie, well, we got some more people to talk about, but we're gonna come back to them. Eva and Leslie. So she goes to the hotel. She was like, she needs the gloves and the helmet right now, or whatever. And she was like, it's safe or whatever. And she told her the same thing about how she trying to protect her, and she not gonna tell her where it's at or show her because she just gonna get it or whatever, and all this other stuff. And just telling her mama that she love her or whatever. I said, girl, you might be the one to go down for this, trying to protect her. And let me see what else. Let me see what else she said to her. Um, let's see. I think she was just trying to get the evidence or whatever. Looking for helmet and gloves. Yeah, I stopped writing after that, y'all. She can't look for the helmet and gloves. She told her she had it or whatever. So she ended up leaving. She finally ended up leaving. That's when Eva started to look for the gloves. She went and looked under the bed and she seen that it was gone. I said, yeah, you going to jail. I said, you go to jail if your fingerprints on that evidence. And I said, that'll be real messed up though. But at the same time, she only brought it on herself. But I said, that'll be messed up because what if what if Leslie's fingerprints not on it, but Eva's is? But yeah, what else? What else happened? Let me see. We already talked about Leslie and Tomas. He said he wasn't gonna help her, and she knew that before she met up with him. Oh, then she gonna say something about she basically rooting for him to be with Eva and saying how they belong together and all this other stuff. Um, let's see who else we got. Naomi, Chelsea, Danny. I think they was out in the waiting room then, and they was asking her why she texted, why she just didn't come in, and she was just saying how she just wanted them to be in there with their father and stuff like that. And Haley was already in there, and I said, exactly, you supposed to be in the waiting room right there in the waiting room. She came ran in there and stuff. I was like, girl, she gonna always love Bill. You can tell right now, she gonna always love Bill. I don't want to say Bill gonna always love her, but at the same time, that's what it's looking like. Who else we got? Um, I didn't write it down, but the doctor lady, Chelsea, she came in the room or whatever, and that's when Chelsea seen her or whatever, and I think she's about to say something if I'm not mistaken, and then she introduces herself to her, um, but she did end up saying something about she liked to be professional. Excuse me, she likes to be professional or whatever, and she just didn't know, she was nervous or whatever, sitting across from a model and all this other stuff, and I was like, we'll see. We'll see. Cause I know some people saying that she's supposed to be a detective, or did they say detective or undercover? They said something that they supposed to be investigating their family, but we'll see, y'all. But yeah, that's why she was like, she followed her and all. I said, why she couldn't? Because she was alone before and everything with her. I said, why she couldn't say that beforehand? But yeah, we'll see down the line. They gonna give us a little hint, a little sneak peek. Who else? Let's see. I already said Jacob, Derek, Leslie, Cat, Ashley, and Andre. Ashley and Andre, I think that was the scene where they was talking and everything, and she was just telling him how, they was in there together, and how, when you love somebody or you was married to somebody and stuff like that, the feelings don't just go away. And I was confused. I didn't know if he was looking the way he was looking because of Danny or because of his feelings for Ashley. Cause they trying to make it seem like he loved Ashley because she was talking about being in love and stuff like that. Like he not Ashley, Lord, like he loved Danny or whatever, or he falling for her and stuff. Then she keep rejecting him. She keep rejecting him in front of Nicole and stuff. They had a moment because she went out there to give Bill some water because Chelsea forgot the water because she was trying to be in this good face. But yeah, so he was a little like he was getting all close to her and stuff like that. She seen Nicole, she hurry up and pull back. She hurry up, pull back, and the look on his face, I was like, yeah, he gonna get tired of that. I said he definitely gonna get tired of that. I think Haley, Bill, and Danny was in the room together, and didn't nothing happen. They didn't argue or nothing like that. But Haley did tell her she got it and stuff. And Danny was just trying to encourage Bill and tell him to listen to Haley or whatever, so he could get better and everything. Let me see who else we got. That might be everybody, but let me make sure. Naomi, Chelsea, Danny, Bill, Haley, Danny, Ashley, Andre, Jacob, Derek, Leslie, Cat, Chelsea, Madison, Eva, Leslie, Danny, Andre. Yeah. Yeah. And Nicole's suspicious. Nicole, when soon as she walked up, she seen them all close together or whatever. And then she tried to make it seem like it wasn't that or whatever. I was like, yeah, Nicole peeping game. She definitely see what's going on, y'all. But I think that's everything. I definitely think that's everything, but let me make sure. Eva tells Leslie she been protecting her. Eva sees that the evidence is missing. Oh, hold on. Leslie told Cat. Leslie told Cat that she keep pushing. If she keep pushing her, she gonna see what happens when she pushes back. And before she left, she called Derek Thor. She called Derek Thor. I said, this lady funny. She crazy, but she funny. But that's it. Let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, this is how girls today. Be safe.